Talking TNT with Conway.
Hello, my lovely listeners, and welcome to another edition of Talking TNT with Conway. It is I, Conway Fitzgerald. I'm back. Yeah, you could say I kind of pulled sort of an artistic hammy, and we'll talk more about that later. But it's good to be back with all of you, my lovely listeners. I hope your Turkey Day was fabulous and you were with people you love. And for those of you outside of the United States, I hope your coming holidays are filled with joy. We could all use it. Today on the show, let's break some news. Viewer comments. Stumped Ya. A new segment I'm calling You Saw It Here First. And why I'm thankful. So let's start there, as I had planned on producing this video for Thanksgiving. But as John Lennon wrote, life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. But I wanted to share how grateful I am for all of you, my lovely listeners. Thank you. And thank you to my treasured Patreon supporters. It's your contributions that help me grow this page and attract new viewers. To my artists and beta readers, I appreciate what you do so much, and you know who you are. And I'm so thankful to have this outlet to share my writing with you. I apologize for the delay in my output, but I want you all to know I'm coming back renewed with exciting things to share.
Let's break some news.
Here it is, lads. Smell the glove. Just kidding. This is the completed chapter 8. Yes, here it is. It exists. As soon as I release this video, the production of this chapter shall commence. In earnest. Consider it my holiday gift to you, my lovely listeners. I'm very excited about it. I think you're gonna love it. I hope to garner some artistic slides for this production, maybe create some of my own as well. Now, I know it's been a while, more than a minute since my last video, and as I mentioned, I kind of pulled an artistic hammy. Those of you who indulge in the arts should know of what I speak, but this one was a little deeper than just my artistic output. It was like, life, pressure to produce, to create new presentation materials, to be good at my job, to be with my family, and oh, the walls were closing in.
The traffic.
I can't read
The boss. The baby. The dog. That does it. Calgon, take me away.
Lose your cares in the luxury of a Calgon bath.
But this is why breaks are important. So thank you all so much for allowing me a moment to step away and catch my breath. I hope it shows in my content. In the future, I don't know if it will ever matter, but you can know for posterity that during this break, I was also writing Into the Zapper. It's a dark story. Do not expect to see it produced into audio drama on my channel. But for posterity's sake, it's not yet completed, but I was writing it during this break. And thanks so much for allowing me to share some of my music with you. I have a metric shit ton of stuff that I've written over the years, and the Future Bus release was 10 years overdue. It just had to happen. Thanks again for listening and allowing me to share my stuff with you here. All that said, there are some exciting things brewing. I can say this, that if, say, 2 years from now, you see a streaming fantasy series and it all looks very familiar to you, but it's called The Restorer? Huh? Well, that would be this. So you're in the right place.
Stumped Ya.
Sometimes I come up with these questions for these quizzes and I'm sure no one will get it. And then, bam, you nail it. Other times, even with me standing by, like offering to give you as many hints as you want, I stump you. The question was, in chapter 6, Who was the pasty, featureless man who floated into the office? And where did he get all that money? The answer was Lassiter. He's the gray elf wizard that was Theb's childhood friend. Ermine went to see him at his school, the Kadik Doa, in the southern wilds. As here shown in my brilliant daughter's artwork, she was there to get answers as to the nature of the Darkstone. But the stone she brought them, the one she pulled off Macy, aka Tulma Breen, destroyed her endless bag of holding that she kind of borrowed and never gave back to Khan. So all of her life's possessions, all of her money, her keepsakes, her magic items, and treasure accumulated over the last century plus is strewn all over Lassiter's floor. So he picked some of it up and he put it in a box and he brought it to Voss, hoping the boys could use it towards her defense. But non-humans are no longer welcome in Voss, so to make an appearance required a transformation into human form. This is something Ermine has mastered. Lassiter, not so much. He's never really had any reason to. I mean, he doesn't have that much contact with humanity. That's why his human rendition was so pasty and undefined. It's also why he floated. Lassiter only reshaped his upper body. His legs were the same underneath his torso, so his movements would appear quite awkward, so he floated instead.
Your viewer mail.
You know, I don't just beg you for comments because it triggers the YouTube algorithm into having them think that they should share my stuff more often with new listeners. I actually love hearing feedback from my audience. I mean, it's really the best part. You know, like you write something, you know, you're sending a message out there. And when you hear back, I love it. So keep those comments coming. My first comment is about the Theb Karu miniseries. Oh, and I should mention, if you haven't seen it yet, I think you should. It's 5 episodes, and there's just so much backstory that I think will really help elevate the new triumvirate in terms of your knowledge of previous events. So I highly recommend it. Elves live for 1,000 years plus, yet their stories evolve too. Rhythmnos commented on part 1. He writes, I love seeing Theb at what would be the equivalent of level 1. Yes! For those of you who wonder what he means by a level 1, it's a D&D reference to a mostly new or powerless character. If that has never occurred in your life or your fantasy character, well, character arcs are so important to me. Evolution of people, places and things, timelines, consequences, and oh yes, breadcrumbs, breadcrumbs, breadcrumbs. Regarding TNT Chapter 7, Kevo writes, what the fuck did he stay behind for? Right? Like, what was that all about? Now, there's what Ermine tells, and there's what she thinks. I personally get the feeling from her that she's not really quite sure what to make of Darman. And now he's dead, so I'm not sure either. What do you think? Was he really a double agent for the Order, attempting to faithfully uncover the roots of Mist's hidden power? Or was he liking his new station in life and its benefits? Was it he who told the Voss cavalry where Keely was headed in the prologue? Remember, Keely did say this.
I rode for Torbana to find allies.
You did the right thing, Keely. Clearly, our connection here today is no accident. Just then, a thunderous galloping of horses could be heard, emerging from the road north.
It's the governor's cavalry. They must have followed me. I don't know how. I told no one where I was heading.
She warned.
I mean, she must have told Garmin, right? Cue the J. Giles band.
Love stinks.
So I did create my first edition of a new show I entitled Commentary. I just wanted to send a blanket thank you out to my entire audience for your thoughtful comments. I wanted to express my thoughts on a controversial subject, but I did not want to create controversy. My intention was to bring clarity and context to the debate. I hope you can agree that we're all different people, all of us. We're all very different. And intolerance is really the problem, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to hear more commentary from me. I have some interesting subjects that I could tackle. Which brings us to our next segment.
You saw it here first.
Folks, I do not want to bash the Rings of Power here on my channel. If you'd like to hear some scathing criticism of that show, there's plenty of places on YouTube where you can see that. Besides, I may need Amazon's money at some point to bring this series to streaming television, so it's probably best not to burn any bridges, if you take my meaning. Though what I will say to my friends at Amazon Prime is this. Trying to write the lost chapters of Tolkien is like trying to write the lost sonatas of Mozart. It requires some serious hubris to take on that kind of assignment. It's really a fool's errand. Therefore, I recommend acquiring a new franchise written by a person who's still alive, who can provide the proper guardrails. But there is an event that occurs in this show, in the Rings of Power, that I felt compelled to point out, because you saw it here first.
Must have been a starfall. A big one.
The what? The Starfall? It is a fact that I wrote of the Starfall in my story for months before Rings of Power was ever released. I'll leave it to you, my lovely audience, whose story holds more water and who really got it right. The Starfall is a very important event in the new triumvirate, though I'm sure you will agree it has nothing to do with that other thing. That's all I have for you today. Thanks so much for listening and for being a subscriber. Aren't you? Well, if not, why? It's free. You know, go ahead and click on all those buttons. It really helps a lot. Also, be good to everyone and enjoy your holiday. Chapter 8 coming soon, folks. Aloha.
This has been Talking TNT with Conway. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with all your friends.